Welcome to the YouTube squad as we get kaplastered with snow here in Lehigh Valley, Pennsylvania, expecting a foot. And I'll be having a day of endurance athleticism, endurance athlete stuff, because I'll be shoveling half a dozen times because that's how you make it easy. We do have a forecast here in Lehigh Valley that it's going to switch over to sleet. And consumer tip, you may want to not allow sleet or rain to fall on top of big snow amounts, because if you don't want each shovelful to weigh like 50 pounds, shovel more than once so that you don't have these slushy shovels full. I mean, I'm a huge proponent of that because I don't need a workout. So, I don't exactly I'm not a fan. I kind of do enjoy shoveling snow, but I shovel the neighbors' spots and walks and things just for fun, because usually when I'm snowed in, I need a workout too. As a rather elite athlete, we go stir crazy pretty easily. So there's that. Uh, and of course, you may be wondering about the title of today's video, which is based on nonsense that I see on Twitter constantly. Yeah, Twitter. It's the disinformation and misinformation source of all mankind at this point. So yeah, lots of people seem to think that weather is man-made, which is just them telling us that they don't understand how weather works without telling us they don't understand how weather works. Uh, so, yeah, people think that this storm is man-made. They think that contrails coming out of planes are somehow some sort of indication that the storm is like man-made or something. We're going to show you the total cloud water in the storm. I'm not going to do any back of the napkin math because I like facts, but I'm going to show you the total cloud water right now, just so you have some idea of how much moisture is required for a storm of this size. So let's take a look at nullschool.net's Earth wind map here. And because well, give it a minute. Chromium browser. It's pretty good. And we sincerely hope that your browser isn't full of AI trashware, making it barely functional. So if you're using Microsloth Edge browser, otherwise known as Microslop, now that 2026 is well underway, Microslop, yes. The CEO of Microsloth, Satya, whatever his name is like, please stop calling us Microslop. We're doing our best with AI. Oh, boo-hoo. We've foisted Copilot onto everybody without them wanting it. Great idea, dudes. Great idea, Satya. You aren't due for a massive market correction or anything, are you? No. Microsloth and Apple and Tesla and Amazon and Google and Meta, all of these companies, they're appropriately valued on the NASDAQ, aren't they? Pardon my sarcasm. It's the biggest bubble of all time. And it's not even propped up by anything real. It's propped up by nothing but lies about the capabilities of AI, which isn't even intelligent. Anyway, here's nullschool.net. We're showing temperature right now, and we'll start out with that because it is very, very cold. Below freezing in the entire state of Texas. That right there, folks, that is 15 degrees Fahrenheit in Texas. So it's a little on the cool side across the U.S. Now, let's show total cloud water, because I want to talk about how much evaporation would be required to, quote, make this storm. So the moisture from this nor'easter, it's coming from both the Gulf, as you can see right here. This is the total cloud water map. So like, for example, right here, you've got 1.39 kilograms per square meter of water. It's a two-dimensional representation. So 1.39 kilograms per meter squared. That is the amount of total cloud water in that area, all right? That's a lot of water. As you can see, this is a 3,000 mile long system, at least 2,500 miles in length, stretching all the way down here from, what is that, Acapulco up to Vermont, New Hampshire. So yeah, it's a massive system. And you know, there are multiple things happening here. You're getting cold air from Canada coming down, you're getting moisture from the Pacific, and you're getting moisture from the Gulf, which is all combining with this cold air. Also, you have the funneling of two different jet stream components. So if we look at the jet stream here, the 250 millibar winds, just give that a minute to load because reasons. It's probably because AI bots are wasting space and effectively initiating a DDoS attack on nullschool.net and, you know, tying up their server. I'll bet that's what it is. I wouldn't be surprised in the slightest. Anyway, here are the winds. What in the hell? Here we go. There are the surface winds, and you can see this heavy onshore wind over part of the Gulf. And of course, there's a pressure gradient right here, which you can obviously see if you look at the mean sea level pressure. There is a low that is right here over, what is that, Mississippi? Northern Louisiana. And you can see how that low is sucking all the surrounding air toward it. That's the mean sea level pressure map. It's showing barometric pressure. Let's go back to wind here. I just want to show you these blocking features. So here, I can assure you folks, we have an incredibly fast internet connection. It's just that the other servers are slow. This isn't us. We have Verizon Fios. We have like 400 meg up and download speeds. So it's, all right, so there are the jet streams. And basically what you've got here is you've got two different things going on. You've got this southern jet stream, which then weakens over here. And then you've got this northern jet stream. And this is causing all of the air to just be funneled in between these two essentially blocking features. So they've pulled in this Pacific moisture, but they're also pulling in this Gulf moisture. So as you can see, the surface wind's totally different than the jet stream. And this is what really matters for your weather. All right, so everything's being pulled toward this low, and the jet stream is going to mobilize this to the northeast, and that's why it's going to continue snowing for so long here. Now, we usually talk about space weather on these videos, so let's cover that, and then we'll come back to weather, since that's the big story. We'll cover space weather, and then regular old everyday weather. We'll come back to it, and I just started out with it because there are so many dolts who don't understand how planes and weather function on Twitter, which some crazy people refer to it as X. I don't know why they call it X, since that is not and can never be a brand. So, but I'll save that nonsense for a different video because I prefer not to talk about Elon Musk because he is an overrated idiot. So here is our GOES 19 SUVI data. It's gonna load, I swear. Come on, Chromium browser, you can handle it. Wow. It's all right, there we go. Now we've got some bandwidth. By the way, if you're new to the channel, don't forget to press the subscribe button, press share, and share the content on social media if you'd be so kind. And of course, leave us a comment if there's something that you would like me to comment on. I will consider it. All right, so while that loads, we're just going to cut through some space weather data here. And actually, let me get back on camera so that I can make sure all of these freaking tabs load one of these centuries. So I'm just going to tell the browser to like reload all the tabs. which apparently there's no easy way to do it, so I'm just going to manually refresh them all, making it look like a lightning storm happening in here. As the GOES 19 tries its best to load. Yeah. Well, the internet's broken, so what can you say, folks? It's par for the course, isn't it? Par for the course. We'll talk about things like sunspot number, the 10.7 centimeter radio flex, the likelihood of CME impact, the incoming coronal mass ejection outlook, and so forth, especially if anything ever loads. Now, of course, we don't have any like internet outages here at the moment, but there's going to be a lot of people looking at all the weather sites and everything all day. They're all going to be trapped inside. And I mean, if you want to find out if a server's down, let me show you how. There is a way to do it. I like to use Thousand Eyes. I'll also show you how to check for power outages. So if you go to thousandeyes.com/outages, there's a spectacular internet outages map. And at the moment, things are actually doing pretty well. So here's the internet outages map. And you can see this does show, this doesn't just show, downed internet itself. It shows both application servers in purple and network interfaces. So there you can see not very many outages at the moment. If you want to look at power outages, well, first we'll look at Down Detector. Downdetector.com is another good one. This is to check individual servers. So you can see, for example, TikTok just had an outage, and you can search for a specific service or whatever. But here's let's see, it's poweroutage.us is a website that's going to show you where the power is down. There's a great power outage map, and not surprisingly, as we forecasted, about 125,000 customers out of power in Texas, 94,000 out in Louisiana, 89,000 out in Mississippi, 163,000 out in Tennessee, and so on. Poweroutage.us if you want to monitor it yourself. So, do we have the GOES data yet? Nope. Still loading. Still loading. That's fun, isn't it? That's fun. Trust me, it's fun, folks. It's a blast. There's nothing like having an incredibly fast internet connection and waiting all day for anything to happen. But that's AI for you. The internet is so well optimized, folks, because thanks to the wizards of AI like Sundar Pichai and like Elon Musk and Sam Altman, thanks, dudes. You totally haven't ruined the internet itself or anything. A fine job, Sundar. Please, everybody, make sure you comment on Sundar's Twitter account, because we want to make sure Sundar gets paid a bonus of 300 million, or perhaps $1 billion bonus is in order, because Google does such a fine job. It totally hasn't ruined the internet and search and information itself or anything. Thanks, Sundar Pichai. You're a real asset to society. Well, since that's not loading, let's just look at more data. The X-ray flux, we've only got C-class intensifications here in the past 3 days. No big comment there. Here is the current data on the closest star. And let's actually bring up the HMI instrument here for once to look at sunspots from the SDO's perspective. What do you say? Just kidding, I'm not really asking your permission. This is a space weather dictatorship. So, all right, so there is the closest star. We'll put the Earth scale just in frame here. There it is. There's the Earth scale. We'll also put your comments on the screen. Oh, there are no comments. Cheers. You feeling lazy today, folks? Are you one of those people that can't even use a turn signal? You can't be bothered to reach down and move a lever so people know which way you're going to turn? Lord Alcatraz 000 states, I think global warming has a play in it, not things getting hot, but not being hotter and cold being colder. I don't know what the hell that means, dude, but thanks for the comment anyway. So, sunspots are looking pretty significant here. Let's switch to the 94 angstroms wavelength here, and we'll kind of zoom in. It looks like sunspot number will be dipping. Now, there is a high probability of large solar flares over here on this western limb, because as sunspots set or rise, they are about 4% more likely to produce a large solar flare, at least according to my pal Eugene Bagashov of Minsk, Belarus. But in any case, there you go. There's the current image. That is what the closest star is looking like on this fine day. Oh my God, my connection is not private. What will I do? How about proceed to the freaking website anyway? Nobody cares if our connection is private. But thanks for the warning, Chromium browser. By the way, Chromium browser is an open source browser. It is the browser on which Mozilla Firefox and Google Chrome, they're all based on Chromium browser. So we've installed it because I'm looking for a fast browser. And Chromium works amazingly fast on my Linux Ubuntu PC. So I figured I would try it on my Microsloth Junkware PC. And no, it barely functions. So there's that. Please load the fucking page. I guess it's not going to load that page either. So let's check the Huxt forecast, as I've heard some rumblings about more CMEs. So let's see if indeed there are Earth-directed ones. So we're just going to bring up this animation here from University of Reading, known as the Huxt forecast. There we go. Windows Media Player. It almost functions. Hey, folks, isn't AI the best? Isn't AI the best? Doesn't your device work great nowadays thanks to all the AI, the absolutely idiotic programming, the non-functional code that is ruining the internet and everybody's own devices? It's really fun, isn't it? Look, it can barely load a fucking movie that I just downloaded. What the fuck, Microsloth? You are the worst. The worst. Like, what the hell, Microsloth? Jeez, go out of business today, Microsloth. You are trash. Trash. Where the fuck is the loop button? There's no loop button anymore. Oh, now it's a repeat button. Maybe Copilot did that for me. Thanks, Microsloth. Doing a fine job. Anyway, here's the University of Reading data. And yeah, I don't see anything new on the way. Correct me if I'm wrong. We see a CME out of the Earth's west and east there, but nothing earthly directed. Things are looking pretty calm for the coming days for space weather. Next, we'll look at the solar wind and so forth. Solar wind conditions are: the BTBZ is only 6 nanotesla for the total field, with a BZ of 0. Solar wind density, 1.5 protons per cubic centimeter. Solar wind speed, still elevated here, 532 kilometers a second. So that's a coronal hole high-speed stream that's continuing. Not a big deal. If you're wondering where the solar wind's measured, it's well outside of Earth's magnetosphere, way out here at Lagrangian point 1, where the ACE and Discover spacecraft orbit this gravitational equilibrium point. And if you want to know where they're located, there is a viewer for that. Let me see if I can find it via search. Let's try using search. I have this saved on my mobile device, so we will show you this site at some point. But yeah, anyway, those spacecraft, they orbit this gravitational equilibrium point, Lagrangian point 1. If you're wondering where James Webb Space Telescope is, it's located out here at Lagrangian point 2, the equilibrium point on the opposite side of the Earth with respect to the sun. All right. Anyway, let's see. I really don't see it here for some freaking reason. Um, I think this is it. So here's a visualizer. This is showing Lagrangian point one, and this is where the spacecraft orbits. So you can see it's showing Discover in blue, and it's showing ACE in green. Anyway, here's Earth's magnetosphere. We'll show you the magnetohydrodynamic pressure model. Things are pretty calm despite that high-speed solar wind. Thanks for leaving a comment. Jerry Parker. Yes, press the like button. Even press the dislike button. We'd rather have you press dislike than press nothing. We went from nods to nothing. Next, the GOES magnetometers here. This is the GOES. They fly at about 25,000 miles of altitude. They're measuring Earth's magnetic field from within the magnetosphere. There are the GOES magnetometers. Things are pretty smooth here. Coronal hole high-speed winds are not that big of a deal. This one has been pretty mild because weak magnetic fields. Next, NOAA's forecast for space weather. And NOAA ain't forecasting any space weather on the horizon. So there it is. Things are clear. The 10.7 centimeter radio flux, as reported by Solon.info, is at. That is 173 or 4 solar flux units for the radio flux. And if you're new to space weather, the red line is the sunspot number and the black line is the radio flux. You can see how proportional they are. When you have a high radio flux, you have a high sunspot number, and vice versa. Sunspot number is just above 150, and we're going to see a big dip unless we see new sunspots form or rise in the east, because we have 2 major groups setting in the west, so we may see a sunspot dip of like 100 sunspots in the next 36 hours. Next, the coronagraphs, and this is going to be elementary. I don't see anything resembling an Earth-directed CME in there. Let's just verify. We'll look at stereo A, as we're wont to do most days. All right, so you just go to Browse and Solar and Stereo Ahead Coronagraph to Space Weather Beacon, and then you press Date Range Mode, and then you press Play, and then you just put it on screen. And then people can see for themselves. Earth would be off here to the left of stereo A as it looks at the sun. Earth would be over here somewhere. And it looks like a missing data fest. So we're seeing data here from 2 days ago. That was a complete waste of my fucking time. And here is the planetstoday.com. This is just where planets are located, folks. Planets have nothing to do with space weather that we know of. There's no indication that planets affect space weather, or at least nothing that has any predictive value. So we don't consider this space weather, but we like to have people oriented so they know where things are. If you're viewing, for example, the evening sun, you may see Mercury and Venus and Mars close to the ecliptic, close to the location of the sun, because as you can see, they're like in line with Earth. Proton event is still subsiding here. As you can see, this is part of the forecast as well. There was a pretty significant proton event, and it is now subsiding, along with the radio blackouts around the poles, which we'll show you here momentarily. Oh, sweet. The site can't be reached. First time. First time. Oh, we have multiple sites that can't be reached. That's fun. This is stuff that I actually wanted to show people. But hey, why have a functional internet when you barely have a functional device? I can't wait for the AI utopia, because the AI utopia is going to be so amazing, folks. It's going to be so amazing. It's going to happen right after we have a single bug-free smartphone app. Won't that be fun? Maybe one of these decades we'll have a bug-free smartphone app. What do you think? Let us know in the comments about how pathetic the broken internet is in 2026. What a fucking joke. It's absolutely disgusting and unacceptable. I mean, what the fuck? It can't simply load pages. Like, I don't know which browser to use. They're all fucked up. They're all broken. Like, I'm sick of it. I'm sick of it, and I'm sick of the internet. I'm about to buy a flip phone and say, fuck this. Because I'm sick of having my fucking time wasted. Aren't you? Aren't you? Feel free to ask Google and Meta for a refund of your time. Let me know if Google and Meta are able to create a bug-free smartphone app and refund your wasted fucking time. I guarantee they can't, because they can't even get out of their own ways or stop defrauding investors. You ever hear of the Securities and Exchanges Commission, folks? They're supposed to prosecute fraud. Like when people lie to investors. Why aren't they doing their job? Why isn't Tesla's database subpoenaed? Why isn't Google's database subpoenaed? Why isn't Microsoft's database subpoenaed? Why isn't Twitter's database subpoenaed? Like, what? Dear federal agents, do your fucking jobs. All right, I guess I'm not going to show any of that shit because I'm sick of waiting for it. So sorry, I'm not going to show you the coronal hole view or anything like that. I will invite you to follow us on Twitter. I'm not going to show solar filaments either. But if you would like to argue with utter imbeciles about how planes and weather function, come join us over on Twitter. Because there are a lot of misinformation, science, illiterate retards on Twitter who think that mankind controls the weather. It's really pathetic. For everybody who thinks mankind controls the weather, look at a map, go outside, zoom in on the map, then zoom back out on the map, and then do some back of the napkin math. Because you're tiny, and mankind's influence on the earth is tiny, and mankind is absolutely unable to control the weather. We might be able to make it snow here and not there. We might be able to make it hail here instead of there. We might be able to alter the jet stream a little bit on the Tibetan Plateau with ground-based geoengineering stations in China. Sure, those are tiny little tweaks. Cloud seeding is not creating weather. Geoengineering is not creating weather. And contrails aren't even intentional. So shut the fuck up about fucking contrails, you retards. Like, what the fuck? Learn junior high physics. I guarantee you, if you think that contrails are intentionally created, that you can't forecast your own weather. Because if you were able to forecast your own weather, you would understand what makes a contrail persistent. Here's what makes a contrail persistent: the wind speed and direction, the humidity, the barometric pressure, and the temperature. That's it. It's the same thing that determines whether a cloud forms. So get a clue, chemtards, otherwise known as chembaciles. Chembaciles. Mankind does not have the capacity to control the weather. Next, GPSs are going to work like crap because we have an electron storm that's continuing. So there you go. The GOES 18 just reaching warning levels. And here's a total electron content forecast. That's a lot of electrons for a GPS to communicate through. And that causes signal refraction. That's why we show the CTIPE. Which is the coupled thermosphere, ionosphere, plasmasphere electrodynamics model. That's all the free electrons up to about 26,000 miles of altitude where a GPS satellite would be located. So here are the radio blackouts that we're talking about subsiding here. And as you can see, radio blackouts are subsiding. There is a C-class background flux from the closest star. So this is adding to radio blackouts around the noon portion of the planet. But beyond that, radios will be working pretty well once again. Yes, cloud seeding works for Dubai. Cloud seeding also used to work for Florida until utterly science illiterate imbeciles banned cloud seeding in Florida, which means now drought conditions will get worse instead of better, and crops will grow worse instead of better, and everything will be worse because a bunch of rain will fall in estuarial swamps, which do nothing for the hydrosphere of Florida. So nice job, Rob DeSantis. You're a science illiterate. How the hell can somebody be a commander in the Navy and be science illiterate? Ask Rob DeSantis for details. Science illiterate imbecile. And there are a lot of legislatures who don't understand how weather works either. They should take junior high fucking physics so that they can pass a junior high physics quiz and forecast their own weather. Keep them comments coming, y'all. But a consumer tip, my skin is probably thicker than yours. Anyway, this is just layers of the ionosphere. We like to show this because we like people to be geographically oriented into how things function. So it's showing the F layer. Notice how it's at a different altitude at nighttime than at daytime. That's the point. And we're going to skip the ionosphere and... Oh, yes, continue. I pressed refresh, but that's not enough keystrokes, folks. Why do one keystroke when you can waste your fucking time doing multiple keystrokes? Mark the guy. You look like a pussy. Mark the guy. Thanks for the comment. Thanks for helping us out in the algorithm and typing something stupid. You look like a pussy. Look at your own image, dude. What the hell are you talking about? Put up some content. I don't even know who the bad guy is on The Fifth Element, and I don't give a fuck. But thanks for your input. Like, I know that I look like a Joule. Here's the thing. I don't care. I care about performance. And if you'd like to ascend a mountain with me, we can talk about performance. I'll go up the mountain very fast, and I'll wait for you at the top. It'll be a delight. Okay. I mean, I hope I look like the bad guy in The Fifth Element. Look at your image, dude. Your image is a cat, isn't it? Yeah, maybe it was funny. Who's the bad guy in The Fifth Element? I got to look it up now. Now look what you've done. Look what you've done, Mark. You've created a thing. Oh, that guy? You think I look like that guy? All right, I'll take it. Yeah, I look a little like that guy. I'll agree. Just keep in mind that I'm a Joule, which is part zombie and part ghoul, and that guy cannot go uphill with me. Jonas Vingegaard can go up. RKWSL9U says, "Wanna fight, faggot?" You're adorable. You're adorable. I don't engage in unfair fights, which is what it would be. So, no. I don't want to fight, especially not you. It would be unfair. What I do want you to do is join the Croissant Earth Society, because then maybe you'll stop believing NASA's lies. What do you think, Earth is shaped like an oblate spheroid? What, do you believe this nonsense? Come on, folks. I mean, really? You think Earth is shaped like an oblate spheroid? This is clearly some sort of made-up image. This is just photoshopped imagery of the planet, folks. Everybody knows, at least everybody who views our channel, knows that Earth is shaped like the French breakfast pastry. So stop believing NASA's lies, start understanding that Earth is shaped like a croissant, and move on. You can visit the links below this video. Yeah, no, I don't want to bring a friend. I don't want you to bring a friend, because unfair fights are the only kind of fights that exist. And so since it would be very, very unfair, we won't do anything like that. There's no reason to resort to violence. Use your words like an adult, and then you won't have to get beaten up. Sound good? Thanks. Here's the Atlantic Ocean sunrise, and there is a very strong low here south of Greenland, and you can actually see that up here. And that's where all of the weather in the eastern U.S. is headed toward. So we'll show you more of that in a minute, but first the water vapor map, because this is going to show you that entraining of moisture. So some of this moisture came out of the Pacific, Some of this moisture came out of the Gulf. But yeah, there you go. That's a lot of moisture. And there's cold air from Canada mixing with it, creating effectively an atmospheric waterfall. And that's sort of how it works. So here's the radar map, US Doppler radar, that shows vertical motion of water droplets in the air column. RKWIS9U says, I'm not fucking with a flat earther, dog. You nuts. Okay. Okay. You're definitely not fucking with me, period, because you don't know me. So, I mean, what the hell? You're going to challenge me to a fight in the YouTube comments? Are you nuts? You are berserk, dude. Get a clue. Get a clue. They're free. Clues are free in 2026. Now, like I said, we have horrific ice coverage and so on. If we actually look at, let me see if we're going to show precipitation type here, because this is a real disaster. It's a shit show, and we showed you days ago. All right, it looks like no freezing rain's falling at the moment. That's good. And man, that doesn't look right at all. Oh, we've got a forecast showing. So look at that. Freezing rain out the yin-yang, folks. Look at the freezing rain. That is a lot of freezing rain. So it looks like it's turning to sleet here. Is that sleet? I don't know what that is. It doesn't show orange. What the hell? Yeah, ice pellets. So that's sleet, freezing rain up here. We got regular rain up here. And keep in mind, this air from the Gulf, folks, this air down here, you can see it's blowing right toward the Gulf Coast. That's an onshore wind. That is going to be causing a warming of this system. So this is why you have this area of rain. But the ground is still very cold. So yeah, this is a shit show of epic proportions, folks. An epic proportion shit show. Let's show the snow coverage map real quick while we're still on windy.com. Here's your snow depth map. And this is going to read a foot by the end of the day in Pennsylvania. So there it is. I mean, that is only going to grow and grow as time goes on. We also have some lightning. How about a nice freezing rainstorm complete with lightning? Well, lightningmaps.org is going to show you where those strikes are happening. Lightningmaps.org. It's spectacular. And do we have any freshy strikes? There's one. Southwest of Louisville. So some thunderstorm activity here around the Gulf states. It's a real son of a bittern, this storm. Aw, you know where I live? I wouldn't suggest that you visit. Oh, no, you really don't? Okay, what a surprise. I take my internet security very seriously. People don't know where I live. Yeah, ice lightning is rare, so that is pretty cool. David Peak 2154, and thanks for leaving a comment and not being a real son of a bittern. Let's show some forecasts. We're going to show the 2-meter temperature anomaly forecast because we've got anomalously cold temperatures. So let's show the forecast. 72-hour GFS style. What do you say? Just kidding. That's a rhetorical question as well, because this is a weather and space weather dictatorship. Hopefully it won't become a space weather and weather dictatorship. Don't worry, folks. Our viewers don't suck. Software and the internet sucks, but not our viewers. You dudes are awesome. Don't forget to sort your chat by live chat, by the way. Otherwise, YouTube will hide some of the chats because reasons. It should be default to show all chats, but if you don't bring down this little menu up here and click live chat, then it's going to curate your chat for you because, of course, YouTube knows better what comments you want to see than you do. YouTube knows better about everything than you do, right? Right? Because it's Google powered. Google AI, Absolutely Idiotic, is powering YouTube. So it must be great, right? Google It's totally not the evilest company that's ever existed. Look at the anomalous cold temperatures just hanging around. Anyway, that's your 72-hour GFS temperature anomaly forecast in degrees Celsius. Expect 20 degrees Celsius below normal in places like Texas. That's the only forecast we're going to show because I'm over forecasts. I'm just going to show some more data here and close this thing out before I snap. No, I don't participate. Small Baller says challenge him to a duel with bike locks. I don't participate in duels with bike locks or anything else because, like I said earlier, I don't participate in unfair fights. And unfair fights are the only kind of fights that exist, just like unfair sporting events. There's no such thing as fair in this universe. So no, I'm uninterested in a duel with bike locks. Oh no, the police have me surrounded. What will I do? They're totally able to get here based on the current snow conditions. So I'm very concerned about that. Oh no, have we been swatted? You'd have to know where I am for that. So that's not going to happen. 16 here and snowing in Texas. Shout out to Ryan Beans 172. Thanks for the update. That is nasty. Let's go back to windy.com. They've got a spectacularly great satellite map. So we're going to show that because it's just awesome. They got a free mobile app as well if you'd like to download that. Windy.com will link you to one of the junkware stores like Microsloth. I don't think Microsloth store has it, but the Junk Droid store and the Apple, otherwise known as the Crap Hole store, probably have the Windy.com app. We're going to avoid the forecast here. We're just going to play the current conditions. Let's zoom in on Texas, since we just got a report from there. So there's your satellite map for Texas. And we're going to show you the water vapor map here as a value-added service, because it's going to give you some idea of when your snow, rain, sleet, snow, freezing rain, and so forth is going to end. So you can see dry air is moving in here and pushing out this moisture. But you still have this zone of mixing. So this is going to continue around the Gulf Coast of Texas for an extended period, as you can see there on the water vapor map. And by the way, folks, every single one of you should be able to forecast your own weather. You've got far more data than you need access to be able to forecast your own weather. It's quite simple if you understand the way these systems interact. Dry air at a given temperature and pressure is more massive than moist air. So that's an important thing. This dry air is acting like a blocking feature, and it is preventing this moisture from making it farther to the north. That's how weather works in the real world. Inverted Banana 5630 says Earth is flat. Yeah, parts of it. But ultimately, if you take a really small measurement, you'll find it's flat. But if you take a bigger measurement, you'll find it's croissant shaped. Visit the links in the description to see our merch shop so that you too can join the Croissant Earth Society and perhaps stop believing NASA's lies. So, 45 Celsius in South Australia. Wow, that's pretty hot. All right, we'll look at a temperature map. I'll show Australia. I like Australia. I've got friends there. So, here's your Australia map. And it's a little warmer there. So there's your surface wind map. We do have a strong low up here. That's just south of Crocodile Country, if I recall. And let's look at a temperature map. There you go. There's surface temperature. Dag! 98.9 degrees Fahrenheit there in central Australia. I'm a little jealous. You know why? Because bikes go very fast when it is hot like that. And when it's humid, they go even faster. Yeah, so this brings up some more information about meteorology, right? Your bike, the main thing holding it back is wind resistance. And because of that, a hot, humid day is a lot faster than a cold, dry day. When you see a cold day with no clouds in the sky and, a blustery wind, that is a slow day. Temperature and humidity affect how fast your bike goes. The fastest days are hot, humid days. And the fastest days of all are summer days when hurricane remnants go through, believe it or not. All that water falling doesn't matter. The pressure is so low that the air is less viscous. So yeah, cycling and weather go together. That's how I became an expert at weather and why I moved on to space weather, because Earth weather is officially too easy to forecast. Anyway, here are your jet streams. We'll show you the worldwide jet streams here real quick. So these are the jet streams of the Eastern world. And this is why your weather is behaving as it is in Australia right now. Because the jet stream is responsible for moving weather from west to east. Right now, you've got a backwards equatorial 250 millibar winds. Central world's jet streams are looking like this, making for some cold times in Saudi Arabia and Egypt, especially Saudi Arabia. But it's a warm day in Sicily, as you can see. African air crossing the Mediterranean, along with a bunch of boats full of migrants. Here are the surface winds of the central world. Surface winds of the west. You can see that strong low south of Greenland, making for horrific sailing conditions in the North Atlantic. Those are currents, but here are waves. And as you can see, we've got 35-foot waves or so up there in the North Atlantic. Only 27 footers. The world's largest waves are currently, off of Portugal. So it's time to go surfing here, folks. That is the big wave capital of the world. Look at that. I think there's even an onshore wind. Dude. That's exciting. Oh, look at that. Surf's up at the premier wave spot in the world, Portugal. Portugal, it now holds the world record for the largest wave ever surfed. All right, so it's time to close this thing down. Thanks for tuning in, everybody who has. Hopefully you've had good humor about about some of the things that I've said, because, look, I kid around a lot. Pardon the biting sarcasm. But yeah, thanks to everybody who's commented. Congratulations on realizing the channel exists. Let's show the sun here to close this thing out. If you've got any more comments to leave them now. We're going to let this play for a minute, because that's what the channel is mainly going to be covering. The closest star, the most interesting one at which to stargaze. So thanks, everybody. I've been your host, Dan, a.k.a. Smash-O-Mash, signing off. And until next time, may that solar wind be at your back and that snowbank not have a frozen block of ice of you inside of it. And hopefully your back isn't shattered after the shoveling.